Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the September 11th, 2020 edition of Pro Wrestling Throwdown. This is Luke the Big Dog Williams. I'm Caleb Black, and it's time for us to talk about AEW All Out. And boy, was it a show.
It started off strong.
It had its ups, for sure.
And then two wrestlers decided to almost kill themselves.
It had a significant down. Let's get right into it. We normally don't cover the pre-shows, but since this is an AEW pay-per-view, we're going to talk about the whole thing. We opened the show with the pre-show match, Joey Janela versus Serpentico in a wrestling.
Just wrestling.
It was a wrestling. It wasn't very good. It wasn't a very good match, in my opinion. There were a lot of botches, a lot of happy feet, a lot of confusing things that occurred. Serpentico at one point came off the top rope and landed on his feet and yelled at Janela circa Michaels and Vader in 97.
Janela goes over. We spent most of the last 4 minutes of this match trying to figure out if it was legitimately Serpentico or if it was
Sammy Guevara
under a hood, just being like, I got this, man.
It wasn't Sammy Guevara.
No, it wasn't. It was Serpentico.
The second match of the card featured Private Party in the Dark Order. Now, here's what they did to us. They bait and switched us because obviously our selection to go over was Private Party.
Yes.
Because, we're smarter than the average bear. But I'll be damned if Reynolds and Silver didn't make me want the Dark Order to win.
There was for those who have seen it, there's how do I put this? A chain of moves.
A chain.
Should have finished the match.
Should have finished it, and finished it hot for the Dark Order. And especially, one of the most confusing things, and we'll talk about again when we get in the 8-man tag match, but this is the time where the Dark Order needs to be winning, with Brody Lee as champion.
I think what happened was they started getting in a rhythm.
Yeah.
Silver and Reynolds is amazing.
Agreed.
The most over
really
comedy act there is.
Yeah.
They hit all those moves, and then I think at the end, at the last second, they were like, oh, wait, we're not supposed to win. And then everything changed.
Party just wins with the cover.
Yeah.
It was a solid tag match for what it was. The Private Party wins. I was really on the edge of... Genuinely, I'm almost ashamed to admit it. I was on the edge of my seat, hoping that the Dark Order was going to win this match.
I mean, the match was solid. Up until that chain of moves, and then it kind of felt like, okay, well, we've lost our place. We don't know exactly where we're going to go with this.
Yeah, I totally agree.
And then, of course, the finish come, the botch on the I don't even know what it's called.
Yeah, I'm not
sure.
sure.
The cutter from the top, I guess.
Yeah.
But Private Party over Silver and Reynolds.
Then we open the show with the tooth and nail match between Big Swole and Dr. Britt Baker. Dr. Britt Baker. Highlights of this match include a bunch of broken glass, Dr. Britt Baker stabbing herself in the leg with a syringe.
Hold on, we'll just do it this way. Breaking and entering.
Assault.
False identity. Assault.
Assault with a deadly weapon.
Some more assault. Public life endangerment.
Yeah.
Attempted murder.
Yeah.
Attempted murder with, intent.
Assault charged by racial tension.
And all of that, and we still couldn't get a decent finish.
I have no idea what happened.
I don't either.
Britt Baker stabbed herself in the leg with a syringe. Big Swole won by putting a mask of laughing gas on her face.
Yeah, she tried to kill her through nitrous, which isn't
legal. And I really I wonder, somebody at the Florida State Athletic Commission had to be watching this and think, we have to pull Dr. Britt Baker's dental license. We have to pull it.
We're
going to close her practice.
To use a legit power drill. To which I believe my wife says, that's not the kind of drill you use. It was a flaming ball of shit.
It was
it was
bad.
Entertaining. It was entertaining.
If that's what you call it.
I laughed. I don't know if that's what they were going for, but I laughed.
We follow up with the Young Bucks versus Jurassic Express in a match that can only be described as a whole lot.
It was a whole lot. I do think that they showcased Jungle Boy.
They made Jungle Boy look like a star.
And they really made Luchasaurus look decent by comparison.
Again, if Luchasaurus would slow himself down, limit his wasted motion, his flipping kicks, his shit, he'd look 10 times better. And that's not saying those kicks don't look okay.
No, they look good.
But as a big man, if he just used definitive strikes, man, he would be a monster, no pun intended.
And, of course, as anyone who has two working eyeballs would tell you, that the Bucks were going to win this from the beginning.
Yeah. Balding Buck and Warrior Buck went over again.
I don't see what...
I'm sorry, Matt.
I don't see how you build new talent by putting over the same thing.
I can actually tell you how. You can't!
Hero.
So, the Young Bucks win, Kel Surprise. Then we get into the Casino Battle Royal. Now, I was super excited for this. I thought it was going to be really entertaining. We all had our picks. I didn't write down the entrance orders or any of that nonsense. All
Not
you
that it
need
would've
to
mattered.
know is that Lance Archer won and Matt Sydal had the greatest Shockmaster entrance ever.
I think the only 3 words you need to know are Archer, Seidel, and Oops.
Now, I don't want to sit here and make fun of a guy for almost killing himself. He's done the Shooting Star Press 1,000,000 times. 1,000,001 times. He's an expert at it. This just happened to be one of those things that happened. He went up and came crashing down.
And killed himself. He went up and he killed himself.
It's such a shame because if he'd have hit that Shooting Star Press, I think the Battle Royal would have been received a little bit better. It did get clunky toward the end anyway.
I think when he was eliminated at the end, it would have had more of an impact.
Yes.
Clearly.
Unfortunately, you get taken out of the Battle Royal because all anyone was talking about, all we did was talk about Matt Sydal the entire time.
Well, to be fair, we laughed and giggled for a few minutes.
Yeah, and then we had this clunky finish with Lance Archer and Kingston on the top turnbuckle. Jake's waving the bag of snakes, and then Excalibur just happens to mention, "Oh, Eddie Kingston's afraid of snakes."
After Eddie Kingston was like, "Get that bag away from me."
Yeah, everyone's afraid of snakes. It's not a fucking surprise.
Yeah, I mean, Andre
Jake the Snake Roberts is afraid of snakes.
Andre the Giant was afraid of snakes.
Yeah.
And he eliminated himself.
Yeah. So, anyway, Lance Archer's now the #1 contender, which televises the main event. And you know what's funny? Listening to another podcast, the co-host of that podcast mentions that it televised it, and the host didn't even pick it up. That was the first thing you said, was we'll know, last week, you said we'll know who's going to win the main event by who wins the Battle Royal. Yeah. Following the Casino Battle Royal, we get into the Matt Hardy-Sammy Guevara match, which was called due to a major accident in which Matt Hardy was speared off of the top of a forklift into a table and hit his head. Referee Aubrey Edwards called the match. They go through a good 4 or 5 minutes of empty air. Matt Hardy then gets the match restarted somehow, tosses Guevara off of a rafter through a table, and wins. Any blind person could have seen Matt Hardy had a concussion.
Yeah, I'm not going to poke fun. I usually do.
That match should have ended where it ended and should have been left alone.
Yeah, it should have been left alone. Match should have been taken to the back. I was legitimately worried for his health.
Yeah. And you can't enjoy a wrestling show when
you can't. And as that happened, that's where the decline of the show started.
Agreed, 100%.
After that, it was like a shit show after shit show after shit show.
Couldn't get back into it.
Yeah.
Anyway, Matt Hardy technically wins. We're glad to hear he recovered. We'll get into that here when we get to the next match, or I'm sorry, one of the other segments. Now, the next match, it's so unfortunate that it followed that incident because, in my opinion, was the match of the night. Was Hikaru Shida versus Thunder Rosa.
Yes.
For the AEW Women's Championship, and it was an outstanding match.
Two of the best female workers in the business.
Two of the best workers in the business, period.
Two of the crowning jewels of their companies. I mean, it was fantastic.
Yeah, that would have been a 5-star match for me. Really, really, really genuinely good showcase of talent. They utilized their time, and here's the thing, they did their best to bring the crowd back, and actually got me watching again. Not thinking about the Sydal and not thinking about the Hardy incidences.
I think that if the crowd would have been more into the match, it would have come off better on TV.
I agree.
But honestly, go back after now that the shock of the Matt Hardy and the Sydal thing are over. Yeah. Go back and do yourself a favor. Watch the match.
Yeah, watch it again, and you'll get a whole different perspective for it. It was a fantastic match.
Champion retains.
Yes. Hikaru Shida did go over. The following match after that was the Dark Order, Brody Lee and Evil Uno. And
Grayson and Colt Cabana.
Colt Cabana against Matt Cardona, Scorpio Sky, and the Nightmare Family. It was a decent 8-man tag match.
It was.
I wasn't as entertained as maybe I think I could have been.
I think that if it would have been a different place on the card and before all of the craziness took place earlier in the night, I think it would have been received better.
And again, Matt Cardona, Scorpio Sky, and the Nightmare Family win. Wrong guys to win. Brody Lee and the Dark Order should have won.
Should have won. Dustin does get the pin.
It goes on. If we're going to make Brody Lee this dominant force on television, here's the thing, guys. he has to be a dominant force on the pay-per-views too.
Yeah, I think their idea was if Brody doesn't take the loss, it doesn't hurt any, but it does.
But it does. It hurts the entire deal, because if your group that you've been trying to bring to power isn't winning, then they're never going to come to power.
Right.
So, wrong team won. Wasn't a great match. The match I was looking most forward to of the night was next: FTR versus Kenny Omega and Adam Page. I understand they had to fill for time.
And a 4.5 hour long match.
It was just so long.
It really was.
They could have taken 10 minutes off and it would have been perfect. But it went on, and it went on.
False finish after false finish.
And it went on, and they did the televising with Omega and Page well. It just didn't get there in time for me to be fully engaged.
I feel that the having to fill the time really hurt it.
Yeah. FTR, however, new AEW Tag Team Champions. Very excited to see
which we've been screaming from the mountaintops.
Yeah, from the mountaintops forever. Very happy. Just again, match took off too long.
Right.
Then Kenny Omega leaves, tells the Bucks it's either him or Page. Omega's going back to Japan, so we'll see probably Omega come back as the cleaner at some point. Whatever. Gives a shit. Then
the most important part is that FTR is the tag team champion.
Right.
Other than
Kane is the tag. Yeah, exactly.
Max isn't here this week, so
we got to fill in the blanks.
Yeah.
Chris Jericho versus Orange Cassidy in the Mimosa Mayhem match. Nothing else to say, but it was an entertaining match between two pros.
Yeah, they took what the idea that they had and they made it work.
It was a 4-star match simply because, again, mechanically it was sound. There were no botches. Orange Cassidy wins with a big win, dumping Jericho into the vat of mimosas, solidifying Orange Cassidy as a top babyface.
Yeah, Orange Cassidy's stock rose. Jericho helped out along. That was the point. That was what they were meaning to do, and it worked.
And the match went exactly the way
it really worked. It really did. It was entertaining.
Our main event: Jon Moxley defends his AEW championship against MJF, and I cannot stress this enough. This is the best, not only title match, this is the best match AEW has ever had. The only problem is that
the wrong guy won.
The wrong guy won, and that MJF was a babyface for the entire match.
Yes.
Fighting from underneath. He ends up getting his heel heat later on, but the entire most of the match was MJF working the arm, which, again, classic technical heel against Moxley's brawl style, but then Moxley gets to rolling on him, takes him to the outside, starts beating on him for way too long. They get back into the ring. MJF then hits his cutoff. And again, MJF shows his toughness by slapping back, by fighting back, by fighting on the ground. Moxley shows that he's a fucking maniac by biting MJF's bloody head. I mean, the match itself was very, very great.
And the sad part about the outcome of the match is that now we have Moxley and Archer at the anniversary show of Dynamite in October, and I really don't care.
I would not have cared nearly as much about that as I would Darby Allin against MJF in the main event of that show.
Anyone in MJF.
Yeah, or Shawn Spears, maybe, the finish was perfect. Wardlow goes to throw the ring. Ref doesn't see it. MJF misses the ring, looks up. There's Mox. Paradigm shift.
Classic Eddie Guerrero throwing the chair to you and falling on his back.
It was, again, best match AEW history, in my opinion.
Great potential for greatness in card. Not well executed. Overall, I give it a 3.5.
I'm gonna say 5.
See it. No, I mean the show in itself.
Oh yeah, overall show 3.5. Yeah. I'm not even gonna go that far. Between the considerable botches and the matches taking too long, because of the nature of the main event being so good, I'll level it out at a 3. But that's pushing the grade for me.
Right.
Guys, that was our AEW All Out review. Did you check out the show? What did you think? What did you think about our review? You know what to do. Leave us a comment down below after you like and subscribe. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ProWrestlingThrowdown, or send us an email at ProWrestlingThrowdown@gmail.com. And stay tuned, because This Week in Wrestling is kicking off with Monday Night Raw next.
One of us.